Alright guys, so I've got some fun activities planned for this year's team building exercise, and I thought we'd start by going around the room telling everyone our names.
We already know each other's names.
Shut up, man whose name I do not know yet, and then we'll be going around and doing some team puzzle exercises. There's going to be coffee in little polystyrene cups, and I thought we'd finish by each drawing a picture of something that represents a positive aspect of working at Access.
Team building exercises. The participants dread them. The organisers dread them. If the exercises themselves attained sentience, I'm sure even they'd dread them. But for some reason, everyone keeps doing them anyway, almost as if it's just a rule written into the fabric of the universe that no matter how much you love something, be it your job or even a video game, at some point there'll come a bit you just don't want to do. Here are 7 things games ask us to do that secretly terrify us. First up, time limits. Now, I don't know if this is just me, but whenever I see a clock spring up in the corner of my screen, no matter what game it is, it feels like someone's yanked out all my nerve endings and forced them through a paper shredder. Even Final Fantasy VII, which I often consider to be my favourite game ever, has timed sections I absolutely dread. There's the opening mission where you set the bomb inside the Mako reactor, which is fine, it's the beginning of the game, what can go wrong? Nothing, it's easy, but imagine if you were arachnophobic and you had to play this bit with a massive tarantula sitting on top of your TV. Yeah. How easy is it now? Then there's the bit about an hour or so into the game where you have to run through the train. Again, easy, but the shortness of the time limit is alarming. And worst of all, has to be the bit in space where you have to figure out the code that unlocks the Bahamut Zero materia while a timer counts down to your death, which ultimately is of course what all clocks, virtual or otherwise, are counting down to. I mean, the materia is optional, but of course you want it. Bahamut Zero is amazing, but the stress involved, man. Circle, square, X, X, circle, square, X, X. I swear I will remember that sequence as long as I live. What other time sections can I remember? The fight with Liquid Snake on top of Rex at the end of Metal Gear Solid. Horrible. The doors that slowly swing shut in Vagrant Story, forcing you to panic fight your way through hordes of usually easy mobs in order to make it through. The sewer bit in Ratchet & Clank where a physical timer is replaced by a slowly rising water level. That bit's just horrible and we'll come on to it again later. But my most dreaded timed sequence ever? The train mission a couple of hours into Final Fantasy VIII. Good God, this had me trembling. First of all, you watch the plan on how to detach the president's train and then recouple it with the phony one, and you understand it like you would a 3-hour lecture on string theory. Then you have to hang off the side of the train, punching in combinations while a pair of guards patrol the carriage. So stressful. And when you press up, Squall likes to take his sweet time about it as well. Oh, up? You want me to move up, do you? Oh, wait, hang on. There we go. Plenty of time. Next up, let's rewind to that Ratchet & Clank bit. That bit's just horrible and we'll come on to it again later. Yeah, we will, because our second entry is underwater levels, which this sewer escape kind of half is. Look, that bit's underwater. But come on, hands up, who else starts hyperventilating the minute they realise the only way forward is to submerge themselves in water for like any amount of time ever? I mean, I like water in video games, but only if it's there to look pretty and make my clothes all shiny when I roll through it in the kind of graphical peacocking I still haven't gotten over, even though games have been doing this for over a decade now. Oh my god, I rolled through the water, my clothes are actually wet. But yeah, when you actually have to get in the stuff, then count me out, it's way too stressful. Your whole sense of where you are within the game world is taken away. Controls you were once comfortable with now send you spinning helplessly into a loop of death. Most of the time you'll have an oxygen meter, which is as good as a time limit anyway. So basically, underwater bits are timed bits with reduced maneuverability. And they just terrify me. Anytime The Witcher 3 asks you to access a cave in Skellige via the sea, those really difficult bits in the old Tomb Raider games, that flippin' sequence where you have to help Emma through a submerged big shell in Metal Gear Solid 2. Which brings me to entry number 3, Escort Missions. To be fair to video games in recent years, they've realised we all hate taking responsibility for virtual lives other than our own, and so have made characters like Ellie from The Last of Us and Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite who don't need constant babysitting and who can handle themselves better than we can handle ourselves, to be honest. But there are certain bits in games where I still get that swoop of dread in my stomach as I realise I've got to think for two people, not just myself. Ashley from Resident Evil 4 is a classic example. Her very presence is enough to make you mess up shots you'd otherwise make blindfolded. Every encounter becomes that bit more tense as not only are you thinking, oh god, where is the next wave coming from, but also, oh god, where's Ashley? Then there's the sniper bit in Metal Gear Solid 2 where you have to protect Emma as she very slowly tiptoes across big shells. Walkway. Not even the icy calm presence of Solid Snake as my sniping buddy could stop my heart rattling around my chest during this bit. Also, any time in Skyrim when you're travelling with a companion and end up in a dungeon. If anything, this is worse because it's not game over when they die. They simply die. And that's that, they're gone forever. I mean, my Lydia is lying in a pile of bandits somewhere just outside of Riften. I'll never forget you. Entry number 4. You know that bit when your protagonist goes through an internal crisis and has to do a bit of soul searching, and the game interprets that as some kind of abstract, fractured puzzle level, often with mirrors and trippy music and floating platforms in voids. Yeah, that. They take you out of your comfort zone, don't they? Everything you think you know is turned upside down, and in the case of Final Fantasy VII, you find yourself inside Cloud's mind as Tifa helps him piece together the real him from a bunch of disjointed memories. I just want to get back to mastering my all materia so I can sell it for 1.4 million gil and continue funding my chocobo racing habit. That's all. Please let me out of this mental prison. I know you're making a point, game, a very clever point. We all get it. I took Cloud's story as gospel too, and now I have to go through this if I want him back again. But really, can I just have him back again? Also, here comes some Chapter 13 spoilers for Final Fantasy 15. Chapter 13 in Final Fantasy 15 is another example. Why have you taken my friends away, and my weapons, and replaced it with a stupid ring that's actually pretty cool, but you know, and made me sneak about in the dark instead of hopping through the air, hacking the horns off wild unicorns in a lovely green field? So it makes me appreciate all those things when I finally get them back. Yes, yes, yes. Just give me them back, please. Stupid, cleverly designed, introspective, soul-searchy bits. Our 5th entry is when games make you play as someone other than the main character. You know, just to shake things up a bit. And it works because I get really shaken up by it to the point where I can't concentrate on anything the game is actually doing because I'm just too damn anxious about where my protagonist is. When are they coming back? Are they coming back at all? Should I have unequipped all their gear? Have I lost that forever? Where am I? What is words? Please help me, and so on. Even when the games are explaining to me why I'm not currently controlling the main character, I still feel the dread rising through my chest. You're playing as Clank here because you get to do these cool puzzly bits, and Ratchet wouldn't fit through the vents.
Is Ratchet gone forever?
Now you're playing as Ellie because we are showing you she can handle herself, and the fact a child has to shoulder this kind of responsibility is tragic, that her relationship with Joel is such that she'll risk the Joel. And here you're playing as Raiden.
Yes.
Yeah, that's forever actually. Entry number 6, making a choice. Now, I struggle with this in everyday life when I'm trying to decide what drink to have with my lunch, let alone when I'm presented with one in a video game. This could be a moral choice, you know, like the ones at the end of RPG side quests where you have to make a decision you know damn well could come back to bite you later on in the story, but it's not clear which one is right or not, send help. This mature, morally grey narrative conundrum is really excellent storytelling, but
secretly I just wish it was a bit rubbish, so I know which is the good choice and which is the bad.
But there are also physical choices, like which path to take when you reach the inevitable dungeon T-junction.
Now, one of these paths will lead to the end of dungeon boss, the other to a treasure chest containing an item I don't need, but that I have to get anyway. Which way?
I've had instances where I've chosen a path, realised it's a bit too long and windy to be a treasure chest cul-de-sac, and so doubled back to take the other path, only to realise that no, that is the actual path that continues the story, and so doubled back again like some sort of idiot pendulum that keeps leaving the house without its keys. Combined with my entirely non-existent sense of direction, and you can often find one of my characters running clueless circuits around video game dungeons to a soundtrack of increasingly violent swear words. Stop making me make decisions, games, and hold my anxious hand.
Our final entry is when games like to be clever and ask you to do a bit that's not in keeping with the genre of the rest of the game.
Racing in Grand Theft Auto, for instance. I suck at driving games, and so when my story progress is halted by my careering into a building during a street race for the umpteenth time, my nerves simply cannot cope. There's also that bit in Final Fantasy XV where you have to stalk your way to Deadeye's den, trailing the behemoth through fog while music ramps up the tension so much it's a wonder I didn't bite my DualShock in half.
Stealth in a Final Fantasy game, I wasn't expecting that. Don't surprise me, don't test me.
Let me lie in my warm bed of familiarity and cruise through the game unchallenged. For me, the most terrifying example of the surprise genre trick was in Final Fantasy VIII, where during one of the later Laguna sequences, you had to fight a ruby dragon not in the game's usual battle system, but with a sword and a block button, with both you and your opponent given life bars like it's bloody Tekken or something.
Oh, this bit, so hard. Time it wrong just once and you'll be spiralling into the game over screen faster than if this was Dark Souls.
And when you beat it, you have to fight it classic turn-based style anyway. Damn you, Final Fantasy VIII, that was so stressful. Right. There are 7 things we secretly dread games asking us to do. Can you think of any others? If so, tell us in the comments. Leave us a like if you enjoyed the video, and please do subscribe because I do these list videos every Friday. See you next week, and thanks for watching.